Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Los Angeles City Council meeting for Tuesday, April 8th, 2008. We're in the John Ferraro Council Chambers, room 340 of City Hall, where we meet every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m. I'm City Council President Eric Garcetti, and I'm joined by my colleagues, Tony Cardenas, Wendy Gruhl, Jose Huizar, Tom LaBonge, Jan Perry, Ed Reyes, Greg Smith, Herb Wesson, and Dennis Zine. We do have a quorum present, so we will begin this meeting. Mr. Clerk, if you will please call the roll.
Alarcon, Cardenas, Gruhl, Hahn, Weezer, LaBonge, Parks, Perry, Reyes, Rosendahl, Smith, Weiss, Wesson, Zine, Garcetti. 10 members present and a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you. We want to welcome our viewers on Channel 35 and those members of the public that are here in chambers. We're broadcast live on Channel 35 and rebroadcast each meeting. We're also available through the internet at lacity.org, where you can catch the meetings live streaming webcast and also archived footage of our past meetings. We're also available through your telephone by calling 213-621-CITY. Council phone, which is 213-621-CITY, and you can catch the audio proceedings of any of our committees as well as the full council. Members of the public or folks in Van Nuys at our remote facility would like to be heard on items that are on our agenda today. Please fill out a speaker card and hand it to the Sergeant at Arms or the appropriate staff member at the side, and we will make sure that your comments are heard today in general public comment or on any of the items that have been noticed for public comment. First order of business, please.
Approval of the minutes.
Ms. Perry moves and Mr. Reyes seconds. Without objection, those will be approved. Next order.
Commendatory resolutions for approval.
Mr. Wesson moves and Mr. Smith seconds. Without objection, those two will be approved. We can run through the agenda, please.
Mr. President, this is Tuesday, and there's a flag salute for today.
Okay. If I can ask everybody to please rise for our Pledge of Allegiance, and Ms. Perry, if you would be kind enough to lead us in our salute to the flag. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Please place your right hand over your heart and begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Ms. Perry. We can go through the items on the agenda, please.
On the regular agenda, items 1 through 6 are street lighting district items, notice for public hearing. Council should continue the hearings and present the ordinances on April 29th.
Okay. Is there any objection to that, colleagues? If not, we will go ahead and continue those and present those on the 29th of April. Next items, please.
Item 7 is consideration of a proposed assessment for the Los Feliz Business Improvement District, notice for public hearing. Council should open the hearing and continue the matter to May 13th.
Okay. I'll go ahead. We'll open the hearing on that. Without objection, continue that till the 13th of May. Next items, please.
Items 8 through 10 are items for which public hearings have been held.
Okay. Colleagues, anybody wishing to call 8 through 10 special? Items 8 through 10, we've already had public hearings on these items. If not, let's go ahead and please open the roll on 8 through 10, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. Next items, please.
Items 11 through 21 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration. On item 11, a motion is required inasmuch as separate communications from the chair and member were submitted, and the recommendations do conflict with one another.
Okay. Mr. Cardenas?
I'd like to put items 13 and 14 over for tomorrow's agenda.
Okay. Without objection, we'll continue 13 and 14 till tomorrow. That's Wednesday, April 9th. We have items 11 through 21. Specials, colleagues? Ms. Perry?
12.
11 and 12 from Ms. Perry. Okay. 15 through 21. Any specials, colleagues? 15 through 21. Seeing none. We do have
There are cards on 16
cards
and
on
19.
16 and 19. We'll call those special for cards from the public. On the other items, we'll open and close the public hearings. And if we can please, on the balance, open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
That is approved. Or those are approved, excuse me. Next items, please.
On the continuation agenda, items 22 through 32 are street lighting district items, notice for public hearing. Council should continue the hearings and present the ordinances on April 25th.
Okay. Is there any objection to that, colleagues? If not, we'll go ahead and open those hearings, continue the ordinances to the 25th. Next items, please.
Items 33 through 36 are items for which public hearings have been held. On item 35, that matter was continued in the Housing Committee, and I believe there's a request to send that matter back.
Okay. Is there any objection to sending the number 35 back to Housing? If not, we'll go ahead and send that. The specials, Mr. Parks.
Number 34, just want to make a friendly amendment.
Okay. Do you want to?
Yes, just verbally. We just request the chair ensure that this new ordinance goes to the rent stabilization study group, so they're fully aware of what alterations are being made.
Great. Without objection, we'll accept that as a friendly amendment on items 33, 34, and 36. If we can go ahead then and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Those are approved. Next items, please.
Items 37 through 46 are items for which public hearings have not been held. 10 votes are required for consideration.
Okay. Do we have cards for the public on those?
Item 38.
38. We will call special for cards from the public. The other items we will open and close the public hearings. Any specials, colleagues? 37 through 46? 37 through 46. Seeing no additional special items, Mr. Cardenas?
46 special.
46 for Mr. Cardenas. On the balance, please, can we prepare the roll and tabulate the vote?
14 ayes.
Okay, those are approved. All right. And that will take us to public comment. Is that correct? All right. We'd like to begin public comment with Mort Allen as our first speaker. Welcome. And each public speaker will have 2 minutes, and we have a clock to help you guide your time. And with that, we'll hear Mr. Allen. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. There's some confusion with a lot of people we've been talking to that needs to be clarified. At the rate hike hearing last week, Bill made a very impassioned speech that we had a wake-up call, and he showed a piece of copper wire saying it was 60 years old and had to be replaced now. David then said the cable that caused the explosion was not copper, but aluminum or synthetic. It was later said that this was secondary power cable and was not going to be replaced. Why this is critically important is because our City Council approved the building of 840 digital LED billboards, each with 500,000 light diodes. The total using as much power is to light 10,000 homes. This came from Scenic America. If we don't replace these secondary cables, they'll burn and we'll have manhole covers flying all over the city. So either you need to double the rate increase to cover replacing the secondary cable, or you need to charge the billboard companies to upgrade the extra power load of 50 times more power for each converted billboard. But stop for a moment. We do have a way out of the mess. You signed a contract that in exchange for you giving you every location a permit or applying for a permit, you would allow the digital LED boards. Not only did they refuse, but they sued the city and lost last week. They broke the settlement agreement, so either cancel it or get a court order to have the sheriff go in and get their entire inventory. Question. This is important. Rocky is my friend, but everybody in town is saying that he is controlled by the billboard companies. I know it's not true, but it's what is perceived. It is not what you do, but what it appears you are doing. You must immediately bring in outside counsel. My suggestion is that you hire Marvin Rudnick, the retired chief of the Organized Crime Strike Force for the Justice Department in Washington, in L.A. I think any other comments I have, I should give you in closed session, but food for thought. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Our next speaker is Dee Barrow. Dee Barrow? Is there a Dee Barrow? After that will be Sherry Wood or Cherie Wood. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing me to speak this morning. I'm really here today in support of Jamil's Law, and to tell you that it's my opinion that if this were not a sanctuary city, and if your law enforcement was allowed to do their jobs as they've been trained, crimes such as these would be greatly reduced. Thank you.
Thank you. Cherie Wood is our next speaker. After that is Taritha Rizvi. Good morning.
Good morning, Council, Mayor. I don't think he's here. I'm here also for Jamil. This is a crying shame that you guys still have Order 40 in place when we have these illegals going in and out of our jail. We don't know who they are, what they did in their country that they came from, and you guys still have Order 40 on the books. Shame on you. You guys all have a pink slip inside your file. You all are supposed to uphold the California and the federal Constitution. You have not put G-287 in place at our county jail so we could get these guys deported. You cannot cut the head of the snake off until you get these people out of the county jails and back to the country where they came from. I don't know what you guys think you're doing here, but we have people dying every day, and Jamil deserved a good life. And shame on the city. Shame on you guys for not knowing that we Americans, we Californians, we native Californians here have a right too. It seems like all you care about is illegal this and illegal that. Well, I got news for you. The black community, the brown community, the white community, the yellow community are sick and tired of being put on the back burner. We want you to pay attention to us, the people that are paying the bills around here. We want that county jail picked up. We want that Order 40 lifted today. Today we want it lifted. Shame on LA County. You have killed so many people. So many people have lost their lives, their limbs. They are dying out here in the streets, and there is drugs for the children. You are the cause of it. You are the reason for it. Lift that Order 40, put the federal government in place. You had the mayor like a poodle back there following Hillary Clinton around, and yet you couldn't get an Order 40. You can't get an Order 40 or a G-287. Shame on LA County. G-87, G-287, put it in place.
Our next speaker is Taritha Rizvi. While Ms. Rizvi is starting, we certainly, this is a forum for people to say anything that they want. I would just ask, because it's on there. Hold on one second, ma'am. Hold on one second, ma'am, before you start, and we've held your time. You can stay there. You can stay there. But we ask, I know there was a comment about the mayor and others, we actually ask, and it's part of the code of conduct, that there not be any abusive language or slanderous or profane remarks. So, hold on. We ask you to have order, so we look forward to everybody's opinions here, but we ask you to just respect those rules, and our next speaker will be Ms. Rizvi. Excuse me, sir. I'll give you a warning right now. We need to be able to hear folks. We will not be shouting for the audience. We will do this in an orderly way, and we look forward very much to everyone's comments. So please go ahead, Ms. Rizvi.
Hi. Good morning, everyone. My
Good
name
morning.
is Sydney Sinnett, and I just would like to make a comment.
I'm sorry, is Ms. Rizvi here, Ms. Sinnett?
Yeah, she's here.
Can
I
we
would
hear
like
from
you
her
people
first?
to pay attention because
I'm sorry,
I see
can we have her first, ma'am? We have to go in the order. We have a consistent way. If Ms. Rizvi can speak, and then if you have a card in, Ms. Sinnett, we'll get to you, I promise you. But go ahead. Ms. Rizvi, if you will please speak. Thank you.
Taritha Rizvi, and I'm here to support Jamil's law. I know this child. I attend his church. He's a beautiful person. And I wanted to know, where the hell is our black leaders? Yeah. They need to be here. They need to be here and support us. They are a disgrace. Maxine Watson is in my district. And I want to say to her, I will never vote for you again until you come out and do something about this violence. This is ridiculous. It's been going on too long. I'm sick of it.
Thank you. Our next speaker is out in the San Fernando Valley. If we can go out to Van Nuys at a remote facility, Miriam Fogler is our next speaker. After that will be Donna Pearman. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, I'm pointing it very eloquently and telling you these people are going to have to go to the voting box and have to vote you all out of office, because this has been going on for thousands of years, folks. Since the beginning of the Bible, politicians become corrupt. It's their jobs. It's the voters have to do it too. We got corrupt people down here at City Hall. We need to clean it up. Just like what Jesse Ventura said, we need term limits. And you got here, the voters of Los Angeles have spoken for R, and they should repeal it. The people must make the city council put it back on the ballot the way it should have been done through the signatures in the first place. It should be challenged in court that it was voted by 15 votes and placed on the ballot. It was an initiative done through the voters in the first place. So it's a violation, to my opinion. I hope you hear me, David Hernandez. It's a violation of the law what they have done down here. And also Prop H needs to be repealed. giving themselves automatic pay raises every July, folks. The July 1st, they get the pay raises according to the judges, municipal judges. So if you want to do something, make changes down here, we must take action and do it now, and don't let them get away with it. You need to be aware. You need to know what's going on here. You need to be reading the newspaper. You need to be reading the site. You need to be aware. Be just reading and read and know what you're doing before you vote. Just vote these turkeys out, and don't outside, no contracting out jobs for city workers. They need to keep their jobs. The unions need to stand up for that and protect the health plans, because the private companies are not giving coverages to people already, and you're not going to do it here at the city.
Thank you very much, Ms. Vogler. Donna Pearman is our next speaker. After that is Sharon Brewer.
Yeah, thank you.
Good morning.
I'd like to thank good morning, Mr. Garcetti. I'd like to thank that lady for speaking for Americans. You speak for a lot of us that took courage. Anyway, I'm sadly disappointed in what was happening with DWP and the City Council. I'd like to thank Councilman Richard the Lionhearted Alarcon, Councilman Dennis Zine, and beautiful Janice Hahn for their votes against DWP water hikes. But I'd like to know how Councilman Alarcon forgot where the no button was on electric hikes, or forgot he was going to vote no. It's because he voted yes on so many things he did automatically, and I don't believe President Garcetti, I don't mean to say anything, but even has a no button himself. He might accidentally use it to vote no on developers of the CRA. I am for fixing our infrastructure, but like Councilman Alarcon says, let me see where you intend to do this work. Not just me, of course, but us Angelinos want to know what we're using our accountability, what we're using our money for. Not just a family of four with a salary of $21,000, $26,000 need relief. Should I be penalized for being single? Should I be penalized for working up to a decent salary after 27 years? Should I only make $10,000 a year? People are talking about you at my work. They're mad. We want to succeed from the LA City Council, all us Angelinos, so we don't have to have these fee hikes with no real explanation of where our money is going to. And I was reading in this thing about the slush fund, and I see that a lot of the money is going to be used for your little activities, and you don't be reelected. You're using it so you can have all these different events so people will say, oh, you're so great, and just so you'll get reelected. Number one thing is being reelected. So I'm against this, and I'm against all these fee hikes, trash hikes, and any hikes that you come up with, because we're very broke and we can't afford it. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Sharon Brewer. After that will be Michael Carrion here in Council Chambers.
Hi, Sharon Brewer. This morning I was listening to the Education and Neighborhoods Committee meeting, and agenda item number 2 had to do with neighborhood councils posting of agendas. I also heard that the NCRC, the Neighborhood Council Review Commission, had recommended that the number of posting sites be reduced. All the recommendations by the Neighborhood Council Review Commission were to benefit the board members of the Neighborhood Council, not the stakeholders. Having less posting sites means less stakeholders know about meetings. Notification by emails. I belong to the Tarzana Neighborhood Council. I ask for emails to be sent about agendas. I end up getting the agendas sometimes the day before, the day of the meeting, or not at all. So posting sites are very important for the public to be able to know about them. 5 is not enough. If you're covering 44,000 people and a large area, there needs to be posting sites within certain areas, within certain miles, so that the people know what goes on. And as far as meetings and people coming to meetings, maybe they need to look at how the stakeholders are treated. A lot of the neighborhood councils, they don't listen to what the community has to say. The people wait to go and talk, and then they cut them off. And the neighborhood councils need to be working for the stakeholders and not themselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is here in Council Chambers, Michael Carrion. After that, it will be Olga Hall. Good morning.
Morning. My name is Michael Carrion, and I'm from the 14th District. And I just want to know if I can get your attention, please. You can continue your conversations later.
Sir, you have it.
We're here to discuss people dying here and you guys want to carry on conversations. Mr. Reyes wants to put in a via next to a high school that serves liquor. For those of you people who have been here the first time, this is the way we get treated here in the city council.
Sir,
they ignore you.
Sir, we're
until
listening
they
to
need
you.
your
If you can
vote.
please address the council, we're listening to you.
I am addressing the council. I'm addressing the council and the people that are here. Why don't the council people listen?
We are, sir.
They're not giving us the courtesy to carry on the conversation.
Sir, if you have public
You
comment,
tell us
please.
to be quiet and walk outside, but you don't tell them.
Sir, we're listening. If you can please continue your comments
Okay,
on
can you
what's
mind
before
putting my
us.
time back?
We'll give you a few seconds.
Okay.
Don't worry.
Mr. Reyes in District 1 is putting in a restaurant that serves liquor within 100 feet from a school. The ordinance is 1,000 feet, but he finagled that to give them an exception. They also have 6 other variances that are supposed to be rules that protect us from this kind of incompetence. But yet, someone can bend those rules when it's convenient to them. And you want to know why our kids are dying in the street? Because you guys don't care. It's all about money in this city. That's all you care about. Parking meters, parking tickets. See this? This is a city vehicle parked in a handicap. This person's not handicapped. You guys won't cite him though. Why? Because he has an E-plate. Because he's an employee of the city. You got double standards here. If you guys start putting money into our communities for our children, we wouldn't have these problems. But you're more worried about putting money in your pockets or leaving a nest, leaving...
Thank you, sir. Our next
You were
speaker
gonna
is,
give me a few more
is
seconds.
Olga Hall. Go ahead. If you'd like to finish the sentence, go ahead.
Okay. You're more worried about leaving your name in the community by putting up a multi-million-dollar restaurant and bending and breaking all the rules. You don't care about the people. It's all selfishness.
Olga Hall is our next speaker.
Rosendahl, sit down.
Excuse me, ma'am. I'm going to ask you to please not shout from the audience. There's business and motions that we have to second and that we have to sign during this, but we are listening and we can hear because of the loudspeakers, and also there are pictures of everybody on the desk at the computer station. So please, we'll ask you, that'll be a second warning, but please, if you can please maintain decorum so we can hear the speakers here as well. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Good morning. Griffith Park was given to the city of Los Angeles for the people by Colonel Griffith. It was to be open land, but now we have the zoo, the travel town, numerous golf courses, and the Autry. Now the Autry is asking for an expansion. It's been leased for 50 years for $1 a year. The Board of Refer Powers was the ones that gave them the permit. They bypassed the people's wishes. The people, the Colonel Griffith gave it to the people, and that was ignored too. And now the Autry is asking for an expansion that will more than double the size it is. How is it that they are asking for an expansion if that is not their land? That's public land. Is their intention to stay there forever? Is this permit going to be for perpetuity? The other places can be dismantled at any time. The golf courses, the travel town, all that can be dismantled. But this building that is going to cost more than $100 million is presumably $200 million. It's not going to be moved from there. It's there for perpetuity. So you cannot do that giving a permit to the Autry. They have to move out of the Griffith Park. So please, do the right thing. If the Board of Refer Powers did not have ethics at that time, have ethics now.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hall. Our next speaker is Morris Big Money Griffin. Good morning.
Greetings, City Council, members of the members here in the audience. I'm Morris Griffin, better known as Big Money Griff, strong community activist and leader, and now I'm running for the 2nd supervisorial seat. Just last week, I was standing right here asking for a 40-hour moratorium as a result of the deaths that we've been experiencing here in Los Angeles when we talk about the black and the brown, the brown and the brown, and now the black and the black. And 18 hours later, that moratorium was shot down. We had murders in our city. And so here today, I'm here to support the Jamil law. This is a no-brainer. We have got to stand up and take issues with the problems we're facing in our city. And what is that problem? You have a database that shows beyond a doubt who is legal, who is illegal, and we should have that database track these individuals to the point that we don't have these kinds of occurrences. Yesterday, I was just with Sheriff Baca, and he said that they are able to determine from phone calls where shot callers are in the prisons telling them on the outside what to do. Now, last week, I just mentioned to you, just last week, I was right here saying that when we know these shot callers in prison, we want you to take these shot callers out of these prisons and put them in another state to where they don't have the influence on the rest of the flock. I don't know no better way to tell you than that. I'm a problem solver. And I need you to understand that if we don't take a stand today, we're going to die tomorrow. So please understand the magnitude in which we are coming from as to how we can solve and resolve our problems. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Our next speaker is Anita Shaw. Is Anita Shaw? Okay. Okay, we'll hold that to the side then. Judy Moore will be our next speaker then. Good morning, Ms. Moore.
I'm here to support the Shaw family. I happened upon this by accident. We became very concerned every time we watched the news that more and more children were being killed, and it broke our hearts. So I beg you to take action on this. I plead with you. I don't have any children. I can only imagine what the Shaws are going through. I've gotten to know them in the last few weeks, and my heart breaks for them. No mother should ever have to hear her 9-year-old say, "Are they going to kill me too?" So you need to do something about this. You know who the gang members are? Get rid of them. Send them home. They don't belong here. I learned all about gangs 2 years ago when I served on a jury for a gang murder. So that's how I first learned about them. You can't let this go on in this town. You know, there's a little 11-year-old who goes out and picks lemons and is shot. There's a 17-year-old who did everything right, who got gunned down 2 doors from his house. This has to stop. It's not any one particular neighborhood, it's all over town. So I stand here as a citizen begging you to do something about it in the name of Jamil. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your testimony this morning. Our next speaker is Hector Davis. Is Hector Davis here? And then after Mr. Davis will be Justin Sloggett, excuse me. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. I'm here to support the Jamil law. That's my nephew. I don't think any kid should be going to school doing everything right and get shot down. Now, his little brother, he's going to wonder, is he going to be shot down if he does everything right? That's wrong. I probably voted for half you guys in office, and that just disturbs me to know that I can walk down the street and get shot just like that. My sister's over there fighting Iraq for all of us. And we get shot down here. That makes no sense. Y'all, this law needs to go through. It needs to go through because this does make no sense whatsoever. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Justin Swagat is our next speaker. After him will be Kevin James. Good morning.
Morning. I'm here to support Jamil's Law. I live in Arlington Heights. I've lived there for 5 years. Arlington Heights is probably the most diverse community in this whole city. There's blacks, whites, Latinos, Filipinos, Koreans, and I'm sorry, a little nervous.
It's okay, you're doing great.
I pay $9,000 in property taxes to you guys down here. I run a business. I employ 4 people in this city. I pay business taxes to this city. And in my mind, if I'm paying that much money, then these streets belong to us. And they don't belong to illegal alien gang members that are shooting our young people. And I want you all to pay attention to this, because we have a beautiful community down there in Arlington Heights, and it's going to the dogs. I've been there for 5 years, and it's gotten worse because you guys are not doing your jobs. You're not doing it. Tom, I've spoke to you before. Herb, you guys, I've seen you all around town taking pictures, photo ops with everybody, but you're not doing what needs to be done, which is to keep our city safe. I'm paying my share. I'm investing in my community. I can move to the suburbs in Orange County. I don't want to. I want to live in Los Angeles. And I want this to be a beautiful city, and I support the Shaws, and I support this law. Now, you guys got something you can do here. Because you run around on our expense accounts not doing anything. It's time for you to do something. Pass this law and make our city safe.
Our next speaker is Kevin James. After Mr. James will be Najee Ali.
You know, I wasn't going to say anything here today. I'm on the air a couple hours every night. I get a lot of time to say stuff. And I was going to wait and see what Mr. and Mrs. Shaw had to say, but when I walked in and saw what looked like to me to be social hour here, you know, I've never been here. I've never been to the city council before. That's my fault. I'll be coming more often. And to watch the absolute willingness to ignore what you're being told around you. And I hear Mr. Garcetti say, "Oh, we're listening. We've got speakers up here. We're listening." No, you're not. You're not listening. We're going to do the best thing we can to make sure that you all listen. You have an opportunity here. What you don't realize is what's happening in our streets is an indictment of the work that you have promised to do. And it's a continuing indictment. And it's becoming an indictment on a national level. Now, that embarrasses me as a member of the city of Los Angeles for better than 20 years. Why doesn't it embarrass any of you? And this, it's amazing to me. You have an opportunity. Jamil's Law was written in a way that targets only illegal alien gang members. That's it. Parks, Labange, Huizar, Hahn, Gruel, Cardenas, Alarcon, Wesson, Weiss, Smith, Rosendahl, Reyes, Perry. We're going to find out from every one of your offices how you vote on this. All right? Because when we checked with you last week, I left the list, and we didn't forget you, Mr. Garcetti. You're in the club. When we checked last week, and I've got my list back here, most of you hadn't even heard of it. Now, I don't believe that for a minute. You guys have big staffs, highly paid big staffs. It's time they learn what Jamil's Law is. And let me make one last request in my exit. When Jamil Shaw's mother and father are up here, pay attention to them. Stop talking to your pages and your assistants.
We appreciate it. And our next speaker is Najee Ali. And we are listening, sir. We appreciate it. We'll have some responses from council members just after. We have about 3 more cards, Mr. Labange. Is that right?
That's a question to
Yes.
explain what is before us. We're in public comment right
This is just
now.
public comment. There is
Okay,
this is on items that are not on the agenda, so there is no
and
no
this matter
legislation
is not
before
us for a public
Correct.
vote today.
Correct. This
Thank
is just
you.
to receive public comment today of a general nature under items that are nevertheless under our jurisdiction, but not on today's agenda. So thank you. Mr. Naji Ali.
Mr. President, members of the council, I'm Naji Ali, Director of Project Islamic Hope, a civil rights organization that's been based in L.A. the last 15 years. And first and foremost, I do support the Shaw family. And more importantly, though, I do want to make sure that the city council think about the proposal that's in front of them. Certainly, when Cheryl Green was murdered in Harbor Gateway, December 15th, 2006, Councilmember Janice Hahn and myself and the family wanted to make sure that racial tensions weren't exploited in that situation. So I would simply ask that we take a look at the proposal before we make a rush to judgment, because as a civil rights activist, the potential for racial profiling of Latino and black youth concerns me. Also, in just hearing about it, I want to read about it more. What about the black gang members that are not targeted in this proposal? Certainly, everyone knows there's more black-on-black murder and violence in L.A. than Latino and black murder. So I want to make sure that the proposal is studied before we make a rush to judgment. But I do support the Shaw family and their grief, and I stand with them and wanted to make a change. I just want to make sure that Latinos and African Americans aren't divided and there's no racial tension. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ali. Simi Seaman is our next speaker. After Ms. Seaman will be Stephen Emmett. Good morning.
Good morning, President and City Council members. I'm from the 15th District. My name is Simi Seaman. I'm here also to support the Shaw family and the Jamil Law. I think what we need to do, I'm going to make it very brief. Everyone has said a lot that I agree with, but we need to take the handcuffs off the police and put them on the people they belong on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Stephen Emmett is our next speaker. After Mr. Emmett will be Linda DeJong.
Good morning, Council. My name is Stephen Adams. I'm a 55-year resident of the city of Los Angeles, born in 5 Points down here in East Los Angeles. I'm a member of Mr. Reyes' 1st District. You wouldn't know it, though, when I call his office. They don't speak. They have a hard time understanding what I'm telling them, and I never get a response from Mr. Reyes. I'm here to support Jamil's Law. I've seen my city go from bad to worse to almost impossible to live in. My 12-year-old daughter was listening to the radio the other morning when the Shaw family was on there, and she started crying listening to this story and felt so horrible for this family. Now, she didn't know these people. She's 12 years old, and she knew it was wrong. I don't want my daughter to have to keep listening to people being shot by illegal gang members in this city anymore. You know, I fought in Vietnam for 2 years and have 2 Purple Hearts. I put my blood and life on the line for this country. And I come home and I feel like I'm right back in Vietnam again. Mrs. Shaw's over there trying to, save other people in other countries and do what Americans have always done, protect other people. Well, why aren't you protecting the people that live in your own city? It's a simple thing. Get rid of this illegal Special 40. It's an illegal thing. Illegal. The federal government knows it's illegal. You all know it's illegal. You have to have the will to protect us, the people who live here, who vote here, who are trying to make this city into a place that's good to live in once again. Right now, it's going straight to hell. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, sir. Our next speaker is Linda DeJong. Is Linda DeJong here? After that, we'll hear from Yvonne Michelle Autry. Good morning.
Good morning. Mr. Garcetti, did you receive my letter before you go to D.C.? I left a letter with your secretary.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, did you get it? I sealed it. Okay. I just want to have a suggestion today. Downtown homeless area is so messy. Either you close down the shelters, all the shelters, and I closed down the Central Division police station already a few months ago. And when I walk into there to use the telephone call a taxi or to use the restroom, they just tell me to get out. And then they just have some kind of uniform up. They're not the real police officers. And last night they said they're going to put me in the jail. Almost they showed me handcuff and three came out and they threw me out. Anyway, so I will give you another letter today. I give you details. You better do really something.
Thank you, Ms. Dijon. Yvonne Michelle Autry is our next speaker. After that will be Pat Ross. Good morning, Ms. Autry.
Good morning, President Garcetti and Los Angeles City Council. I'd also, just for the record, like to support the Shaw family and offer any prayers for support and comfort at this time, and encourage you to protect the citizens and the constituents to the greatest ability that you have from not only illegal criminals, but from all criminals. I'm usually speaking on behalf of innocent victims of racial profiling. On a regular basis, I do speak on behalf of innocent victims of excessive use of police brutality. And while that is a very important issue for your consideration, it is also important that you exercise whatever power that you have to make sure that there aren't any other criminals in this country, undocumented, who are perpetrating criminal acts against those people who are taxpayers, who have children. I have a child as well. You know, I'm from Inglewood, and I discourage my child from all gang-related involvement, and I just encourage you to maintain that fine line where we're not persecuting innocent black people and Latin people, but those that are perpetrating should be prosecuted, and our citizens need adequate protection. I'd just like to make one other unrelated comment, please, because I do live downtown, and to prevent any greater extra blight so that we're not vulnerable to police brutality, so that we're not contributing to any negative image of our city, I'd like to encourage you, when you vote on Friday, please vote in favor of the ordinance which would protect one-on-one replacement for each unit that could possibly be remodeled, so we won't be homeless. Okay, we just need a percentage that people who are considered affordable housing residents can afford. At this point, the ordinance is not acceptable because the percentage, I think it's 60 or 80%, is much higher than most people in the affordable housing residential category or low income category can feasibly afford on a monthly basis. I think it's about $1,000. So thank you so much, and I hope you appreciate and consider that ordinance, and please lower that monthly percentage. Thank you,
Thank you very much, Ms. Autry. Pat Ross is our next speaker.
Good morning. I'm a resident of Seal Beach, actually, so no one here has to pay any attention to me. But I used to live up on Lexington about 30 years ago, and I had to come up to Kaiser for some radiation treatments, and I was astounded at what had happened to my old neighborhood. And I am here definitely to support Jamil's Law. And I have a son in high school across the river from Hawaiian Gardens. And the graffiti is just oozing out of Los Angeles and encroaching on all of the areas outside. That is very frightening, what's happening. And I think it did start here. So I don't know, since I don't live here and no one here would listen to anything I have to say, especially what I do is, while I was coming up for radiation treatments, I would go down into the city and I would pass out packets like this that gave folks information and resources so they could find out what was going on in their communities with a little more ease, and some phone numbers to call and email addresses to write. Anyway, I thank you for listening to me, and I hope it wasn't too... I didn't plan on speaking, so I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. We're glad you did. Thank you very much. That's our final speaker in our general public comment. There's a couple council members who wanted to say something briefly. Mr. Rosendahl?
Thank you, Mr. President. You know, Augustine Contreras was a young man gunned down in Venice High School a couple of years ago, and when I went and hugged the mother, I never forgot the insanity of the killings that take place in our great city. this heated discussion, in part, is based on information that isn't totally 100% clear. What I would like to see...
I'd please warn everybody again, please be respectful. We absolutely listen to everybody, including the council members here.
Mr. President, what I'd like to see us
Just a second
do
warning, please.
is at another time have a thoughtful discussion about this 40 resolution and the history of it, why it exists, what it means, so that we can truly
I can ask the Sergeant
appreciate
at Arms assistance, please.
the dynamics of what we're experiencing here right now. And as you know, Mr. President, we cannot directly comment on public comment in any kind of a legislative way. We can't do it, folks. It's not the rules.
It's a state
but
law.
What we can do is have a discussion with understanding and appreciation of the dynamics of that law and why it was put in place, so that the public and the media especially that are here picking up off of some radio talk show stuff to get a better understanding of what the law is and why it exists and if we should deal with it or not. But we need to have that discussion at another date so we can appreciate the dynamics of this issue. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rosendahl. All right, that will close our general public comment. Ms. Perry, Mr. Alarcon?
I think the record shows very clearly that the Special Order 40 was put in place by Chief Darrell Gates in 1979, and it was to avoid the liability that the city would incur. That was in contrast to the responsibilities of the federal government to enforce immigration laws. But I would also like to mention that we should all be concerned with entities or organizations that would try to pit a black community against a Latino community to create disharmony in our communities. That is the reality, and that I think the people of Los Angeles know where it is coming from. Thank you.
And we have two final speakers. We have Anita. If I can ask your courtesy to please hear the Shahs. We have two speaker cards for the Shahs who are now back in the room. I'd ask everyone please to respect that. We'd like to ask Anita Shah and Jamil Shah to come forward as our last two speakers in public comment. Yeah,
And as they're walking up, council members, this item, there's no item on the agenda, so any discussion of it should be curtailed. Just listen and then move on.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, everybody.
Mr. Shah.
Good morning. Thank you for having us. We're here for support of Jamil's law, but we're not here to cause distinction between the blacks and the brown communities. We're here to help. We're trying to fix something that we think is broken, But the facts are that, my son was murdered on our street. Every time we come outside, we have to be reminded. We can't even go outside. And, and the guy was, no matter how you can look at it, the guy was here illegally, and he was let out, of the county jail without supervision, so to speak, and the way he was released, it just didn't seem right that, 24 hours later, he was in our neighborhood, and he wasn't just patrolling the neighborhood, he was visiting someone in the neighborhood, and he just was on his way to his car, decided to kill my son. The reasonings, we're all trying to figure out what happened. But we're just here because we're trying to find some kind of common ground. We're trying to bring everybody together, we know people have their own interpretations of immigration and things like that, but that's not what we're here for. We're here to fix the situation that we think is broken, and we're trying to find a common ground. The Jamil's law is just the way we see it. Now, we know that it's causing a lot of trouble between everybody. We're here, we hear it, we hear in the media and in the neighborhoods. But we talk to people, we talk to our neighbors and my son's friends. Everybody knows that he was pretty much raised around Latinos, and we have no ill will for the Latino population, the community, and we love them just like we love our son, but we just want to make sure that everyone is on the same page. We're not here to cause people to hate Latinos or to hate blacks, illegal. We're here explicitly to target the 18th Street gang, because that's the problem that we're having right now. The 18th Street gang is documented by Dianne Feinstein. If you look on the internet, it said that 80% of that gang are undocumented and illegal, and it's hurting everybody if we just throw it under the table. So if we all come together, and I don't expect everybody to agree with Jamil's law, but we all can come together and we can build this law in a way that everybody's represented. They're not being let out of the jails and into our communities to kill, because that's what happened. No matter how you look at it, my son was murdered by someone that was not in the country, was not in the country legally, and he was a documented 18th Street gang member that was, I'm sure, was in a database. And when he was released into the community, and it's just sad. We're devastated, even though it's been over a month. We are completely devastated that our son is gone. It's just so bad for us that it's like we're starting all over from like we're a baby. We have to start all over again. We are completely. We're just completely devastated because we had these plans for my son, and for him to be murdered, and for me to be in the house and to hear that and to come outside. You have no idea how we feel. And there's no way you will never understand unless your son or daughter is murdered on your street. It should be the safe zone. We're not living in Beirut or Iraq. We're living in a nice neighborhood to where he thought he was safe. I'm sure he, in his last minutes, he could have just, you can imagine how terrified he was to know that, the sea was going to happen. And, no matter how you look at it, he didn't die instantly. It's bad. And, we have to fix this. There's no way we can let this go on. If you don't want the same feeling, then we got to do something. We got to come together, and blacks, browns, we understand that illegal is everybody. We have black people that are here, white, Asians, Hispanic. We're not after Hispanic people. We're directly after the 18th Street gang that happens to be undocumented, illegal. The words, we're not sure how to be politically correct. We're just trying to say that, they can't be just let out into the neighborhood. It's not fair, It's not fair to us that we have to be reminded of this every single day. The pictures, we don't know what to do, we're hurting. We're really hurting. And I'm sure everyone feels what we feel. Then we got to do something. We can't just say, well, he's dead and that's gone and just move on. Something's got to be done. And if the Jamil's law is not right for everybody, then let's fix it. Let's make it so everybody is happy with this, and we can get people that are in gangs. They don't have to be just illegal gangs, but just that's what happened to us. The guy was here illegally. No matter how you look at it, that's what happened. He was let out of the county jail without going through the proper channels, and he was let out, and 24 hours later, my son was coming home to finish to start school and to see his parents. He didn't come home to get murdered brutally in our street. My son, he has to be reminded of this. He can't even go outside. We have candles and we have flowers and balloons on that spot where Mayor Villaraigosa planted that tree, and my son helped. And it's just, he asks me every day, Dad, I miss Jazz, He wants his brother. All he talks about every day is he wants to invent a time machine because he wants to go back. We want him back, but we can't get him back. And it hurts every day that we have to live like this. And we're hearing all these people complain, and we know everybody is heated about this. We gotta do something. It's just not right. Sorry, but we have to do something. We just can't. We can't go back to being normal. There's no more normal for us. He was too much a part of my life. I didn't come here for this, but it just hurts. It's just really painful that we have to lose this boy like this. I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
My son, while I was in Iraq, was murdered by a illegal alien that is a gang member. And me, serving the country, serving the state, serving the United States, I think that's an awful shame. I'm over there sacrificing my life for a better United States, and it's not safe for my son. I don't see how it can be like this. I'm safer somewhat in Iraq than my son is safe on the streets of the United States. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. We need to make a change. On Thursday, I will be going back to Kuwait. I'll be leaving. I'm going to Kuwait. I got to our process, and then I'm going to Germany because that's what my unit is. And then I did compassionate reassignment, and I should be back. But I just want to say we have to do something. We need to pass the law. We need to work on the law. We need to do something. We just can't We just can't sit here and do nothing. Just say, okay, yeah, we know you hurt, but move along. No, we got to make a stand and fight. And lastly, I want to thank Herb Weston for talking to us and for everything that he did. Thank you.
Thank you all very much. And thank you for your courage.
May I add just a really quick positive comment?
I'm sorry?
Real quick. May I add just a quick positive comment?
Yeah, could you give us your name, ma'am?
You all have the opportunity
I'm sorry,
to
could you
make
just give
Los
us-
Angeles the greatest city.
Could you give us your name, ma'am? Just really
Suzanne
quickly?
Compton.
Suzanne, thank you very much. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. You have an opportunity now to make Los Angeles great. I mean really great. And it's not only on the great projects that we have. I know we just had something this morning on all the great projects in Los Angeles. It's on every single street corner. So when businessmen come here on conventions, when people come here, on every single street, they see a great city, not something bad. So please do something. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. You could give us your name as well, ma'am?
My name is Vivian Blaylock.
Okay. Vivian.
On the news recently, I heard that the situation is so severe that the federal government has offered to help and assist and resolve and get rid of this problem. Are we going to accept that help from them? Because I think it's badly needed.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you very much. Mr. Zine, did you want to say something?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to offer my condolences along with my colleagues to the family. I spent this August will be 40 years with the Los Angeles Police Department, and I know what it feels like to notify a family of someone who dies. I've been there. I've done that. And it troubles me to see another death in our city. Hopefully, there'll be some good for the next youth that wants to come home that won't be shot by a gang member. One of the problems we have...
Excuse me, Mr. Zine. This is not on the agenda. It's already had two brief public comments.
Then maybe Mr. Carroll will invite me and I'll talk on the radio. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Well, Lorraine Zine, thank you, Mr. Zine. And just to explain to the audience, if some of you are here for the first time, we very much often want to respond with more words directly under state law. Unless something is on the agenda, we are here to listen. We very much hear you. We can't respond with more than 50 words under the state law, but we can speak with you privately, as I know many of us are doing right now, and will continue to. So we appreciate all your public comments, and as Mr. Rosendahl said, we'll be addressing this very shortly in the legally prescribed manner. Thank you very much for your attendance, for your participation, and most of all to the family for the deep, deep sorrow that they have gone through. So with that will close our general public comment. Thank you. Ms. Perry, did you want to take an item out of order?
Thank you very much, Mr. Garcetti, for your consideration, as I have several people here who are in time-sensitive positions. I'd also like to, in order to save time, to ask Chris Westhoff from the Office of the City Attorney and Roger Moliere from MTA to come to the front table and sit at the table, so in case council members do have questions, they will be available to answer them. One thing I want to say to you, or to all my colleagues, this has been a 4-year process, and throughout it all, community support has been key to this in compelling me to continue, even in the face of some really, really daunting issues that would take us sideways in this issue. But I want to say I had some community members at the last Plum meeting, and someone in the audience, and I think they were from the opposing side, referred to the people who had come down to the Plum meeting to speak on behalf of this effort as dog and ponies. This was a dog and pony show, and that they were dogs and ponies in effect. And I just want to say to anyone who is listening, anyone who would use those terms to their fellow human brother and sisters, residents of Los Angeles, that the people who have come down here and stood by me and by each other and by the community in this process for over 4 years are neither dogs nor are they ponies. They are advocates for their community in which they live, and many of them have endured some of the same issues that were raised today in public comment. So they are not without substance. And I want you to know that they're here today again, and I'm going to read their names and to publicly thank them, and they all have speaker cards. But, you know, our city and this part of the city is affected very deeply by violence and lack of opportunity. And so, you know, to say that we don't do anything is a complete reflection of an utter lack of understanding of what it takes to live day to day and to raise a family in the 9th District. So I just want to say a personal apology to Pastor Duran Johnson on behalf of the insensitive individuals who referred to you as a dog or a pony, and to say thank you for being here to Carol White, to Joe Turner, to Ernest Tate, to Lewis Robinson, to Rogelio Macedonio, Julia Botea, Gloria Mendez, Claudia Guevara, and of course Adela Barajas, who just held a very successful community event in memory of her murdered sister-in-law, who was killed in front of her own children less than 2 years ago in the car in front of their own home. So when I tell you that no one is unscathed and that no one has the exclusive lock on this, and certainly people on talk radio need to do more research. If they really care about the issue, do more research about it. Thank you. Now, this is an important day for the people of the 9th District. Today is the culmination of 4 years of hard work and planning for a state-of-the-art, beautiful 9-acre wetland in the heart of the 9th District at 54th and Avalon. The South Los Angeles Park project started as a vision and is now close to reality. It is a project that will improve the quality of life for the people I have here in the first and second row, and beyond that, the residents of South LA. We're bringing a slice of nature and greenery to an industrial area in desperate need of park space. Negotiations with the Los Angeles MTA, meetings with stakeholders, and the amassing of over $19 million for site acquisition and the development of the park are all part of the large process that has gotten us to this pivotal point today. Many of you have heard me already talk about the Augustus Hawkins Nature Park, the small man-made wetland that was opened in February of 2006. In fact, many of my colleagues, including Mr. Rosendahl, have visited the site with me and have witnessed its beauty firsthand. And I have to say thank you, a special thank you to Mr. Rosendahl, because of the issues that we share in common, the need for more advocacy on the issue of environmentalism and clean air, the need for more open and green space, and of course advocacy on the issue of social justice. And I have to say thank you to him because he has been a tremendous advocate on those issues. And to say that we are all joined together whether we like it or not. This prospect today that you will hear has grown out of a situation where 15 billboards have already been removed to the benefit of the residents of Council District 5 and Council District 11. What you have before here today is a community at benefit, which the community has decided is more than adequate and looks forward to. Now, back to the wetlands at Augustus Hawkins. It's grown and it's flourished. It looks like it's been there forever. School children and seniors alike enjoy watching egrets and herons land. Community members take exercise and walk in this calming habitat at Slauson and Compton. All I ask is the opportunity to build a second park at 54th and Avalon. Now we have a PowerPoint presentation. I want you to see what I'm dealing with so that you understand it in context, so that you don't have to vote in a vacuum. The photos in the presentation are of the proposed site of the South Los Angeles wetland, 9-acre MTA-owned parcel at 5413 South Avalon Boulevard, 54th and Avalon. Currently, the site houses a sign shop, a light-duty vehicle repair center. It is adjacent to an existing school and next to the site of a new school proposed by LAUSD and across the street from some single-family homes. As you can see from the pictures, the location is blighted and not being used to its greatest potential.
Excuse me, Ms. Perry, if we could get Sergeant Arms to quiet down the room and the back door, if they can close the back door, I think we'll have a little more decorum in the chamber.
Okay, hold my time.
Yes. Sergeant Arms, can we get the back door closed, please, and get the room quieted down? Thank you. Ms. Perry, proceed. Thank you.
Okay. The size and location of this parcel lend themselves to the South Los Angeles Wetland Park vision. Parcels of land this size are scarce in South LA and generally out of our reach. The site is underutilized and presents itself as an ideal location in a park-poor area of the city. That is why I approached the MTA over 4 years ago with a desire to acquire this parcel and to transform it into a park. Now above, you will see an overview of the South Los Angeles Wetlands Park, followed by renderings. Phase 1 of the Wetlands Park will combine numerous elements for passive recreational activities, walking, cycling, photography. Phase 2 of the construction will include a rail museum as an homage to the history of this site and a community meeting space. This park will replace an existing blighted site with greenery of native plants and trees. The park will serve as an outdoor classroom along with the wetland and will be a green haven for South Los Angeles. This project provides green space in a park-poor area of the city and will assist the city's storm water efforts for clean, healthy water, serving multiple valuable services to this community. And in fact, our own city council approved $8.1 million in Prop O general bond funding to develop this project, supporting its use as an environmentally friendly project that serves multiple purposes pursuant to Prop O. Now for the final photo of the wetland, as I mentioned before, for the past 4 years I've been working with the MTA to purchase this 9-acre underutilized site to transform it into a park. The willingness of the MTA to sell the city the site brings us to the next portion of the item before you, the approval of a process that is available to all as elected officials, the supplemental use district process on an MTA-controlled parcel of land at 720 East 16th Street, located in the 9th District and the Fashion District. Now, if you could show the SUD photo. The MTA has agreed to sell us the parcel of land at below market $3 million, with all of the environmental mitigations done, with the condition that the city grant an SUD to Clear Channel to erect two-sided billboards at 720 East 16th Street, a highly industrial area of the city not surrounded by residential. In return, Clear Channel will settle the $20 million lawsuit against the MTA, protect the city of Los Angeles against future litigation fees. Now, I want to be very clear, because some people have sent really nice emails and they say, oh, well, we support the park but vote against the SUD. Okay, and that's very nice and I appreciate the support. But let's be really clear, if you vote against the SUD, you're voting against the park. The MTA will not sell their property to the city of Los Angeles, and the site will remain as blighted and an unproductive location that does not benefit my community. So for all the support, you need to tie this together, and I want to be really clear, let's not pretend. So as you can see from the photos, the proposed SUD site is located in an industrial area. 15 billboards have already been removed to the benefit of the residents of Council District 5, Council District 11. I am expressing a willingness to put 2 billboards up in the 9th District in an industrial area to settle this lawsuit. It is not opposed by area residents or businesses, and in fact, the mayor's office expressed support at the Plum meeting, and I'm not sure if they're here today, but they did send Krista Klein with a letter from the mayor, which was read into the record, in support of this project. The Fashion District BID, the business organization that represents this area, has submitted a letter of support, and I have all of these community members here today. Now, I want to acknowledge that the introduction of the new billboard is a controversial topic that has generated heated discussion, and I respect that. But I also want to stand in support of my colleagues, Weiss and Gruhl, in getting the proper count of the illegal billboards here in our city. That issue is separate and apart from this. But I do wholeheartedly support their efforts to identify and remove illegal billboards in our city. The SUD process prevents illegal billboards. That is why it is a process that I chose to follow chapter and verse. This issue is different. Our city created an SUD process and the process associated with it to stop the proliferation of illegal billboards and to ensure that when they are erected, when billboards are erected, they are done so in appropriate locations and are vetted through a public process. We've been going through this for 4 years. This is the case for the SUD, and we live in a metropolitan city. Signs and billboards, while they absolutely must be regulated, are not unheard of in a densely populated city like ours. Downtown Los Angeles, and especially this location, for those of you who need to understand that this case can be distinguished from cases in your other districts, is located away from large residential areas. It is in an industrial area. It backs up to the freeway. It offers us an appropriate opportunity with a community benefit that is extremely significant. These factors must be considered. I believe that this is a good and reasonable deal for the City of Los Angeles and have fought for it for 4 years. This is something our council has supported in the past and our mayor has supported both on the city level and in his role on the MTA. This should allow us to move forward to build this 9-acre park and to solve this litigation at a time where we're facing a serious budget crisis. This represents a unique collaboration between the MTA and the city. Since 2006, this project has gone through numerous board and committee approvals, as well as a full environmental impact report. We have done everything by the book. 9th District is a mere 14 square miles of the city. We cannot afford to lose this opportunity to develop green space. There are no other locations of this magnitude, none in the 9th District in South LA. So let's not kid ourselves. If you vote against the SUD, you're voting against the park too. I hope you will support this action, adopt Communication 11 from the chair of the Plum Committee, and item 12, the ordinance to allow for this SUD. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. You have 40 seconds left. That's good. That's good. Okay, we have Mr. Reyes, and then we have a couple public speakers. Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, Council President. I stand, colleagues, to support Councilmember Perry in her effort. You know, much of what we are challenged with did not happen overnight. We are all trying to address issues that are citywide, if not region-wide. And a lot of us are trying our best to establish that strategy, that link, that is focused on the most basic, fundamental opportunities. Having a place for kids to play, having a place where we won't have any more Jim Hills incidents, a strategy that recognizes that the federal government has denied, taken away millions and millions of dollars of federal block grants. A city that right now is in a position where we're contemplating cutbacks in ways that we have yet to mention. And here we have an opportunity to create real relief for a community that has not been able to experience what most of us, I believe, sometimes take for granted. I've seen Councilman Perry for 4 years speak to this. Incrementally, she's put the pieces together. And today we are in a position to tell the community that they do matter, regardless of where you live, regardless of the color of your skin, or regardless of how much money you make, you do matter. And that this park is important for families. That this park is about taking away those gangs' ability to suck away our children into their culture. This is the time to act, Council. We have that opportunity. When I read the paper today, and I think it's great, we could spend millions of dollars in parcels along the coast, up in the Santa Monica Mountains, and here we have a labor-intensive strategy that speaks to a park in a place where none exists. It's something we should do. I ask for an aye vote.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. Mr. Weiss.
I want to thank both Mr. Reyes and Ms. Perry for what they said and for how hard, particular Ms. Perry, how hard you have worked on this. I know you've poured your heart and soul into this, and I know that you and everyone who will vote for this is voting for it for very good reasons, very commendable reasons. And I respect and appreciate that. I simply want to restate here what I stated in Plum, which is the reason I can't vote for this has nothing to do with the arguments that either of you have made, because I think the arguments both of you have made are very powerful and very compelling. I simply want to note very briefly that there currently is no lawsuit against the City of Los Angeles. There's a lawsuit that the billboard companies have brought against the MTA. I guess the City of LA could be brought in, but it hasn't been brought in. LA City has representatives on MTA. I sure would hope they would not vote to bring the City of LA in, but if they did, I think the City of LA would have strong defenses. There have been a number of notable reported legal decisions that have held in precisely this sort of situation. Billboard companies have no compensable interest here. Why do they have no compensable interest? Just to be very brief, what happened on Santa Monica Boulevard was the billboard companies had month-to-month leases. The MTA declined to renew those month-to-month leases, and they sued. I think the city would have a very strong case. I think the city should fight cases like this when they come up, but as I said, no case has been brought here against the City of Los Angeles.
Mr. LeBonge.
Thank you very much. Ms. Perry, I just want to congratulate you for trying to create something that will benefit a lot of people. And I think Mr. Reyes said it right. The opportunity to have parks where people are few and far between in our city now. And this opportunity is an exception. Is that right, Mr. Westhoff? Can we just say this here? I want to know that this is the one we're putting. Everyone, if this is another one coming down the pike, it's a whole different discussion. This is a one-time deal right now on this issue, right?
Councilman Christopher Westhoff, Public Works General Counsel. Correct. You're a legislative body that gets to exercise its discretion each time a question comes in front of you. You are not mandated to exercise that discretion in the exact same way every time. You have to consider all of the facts surrounding the situation, and you are free to vote according to what you believe should be the end result based on the evidence that you hear. You are not bound by this approval to approve anything in the future.
Yeah, we're not bound by this approval to approve anything else. So this makes sense in the work that Ms. Perry is trying to do for her district and provide a much-needed space. It's very beautiful. And also, Ms. Perry, I want to compliment you. This is the first time Ms. Hahn said that we really use the technology to show in a big way what the community is going to get through this park. So I wanted to stand to support it. I appreciate Mr. Westhoff's clarification, because I think everything should be looked at one time, not on this, and see what makes sense. This absolutely makes sense in the redevelopment of central Los Angeles and downtown area on that corridor, on that freeway, at that division. What is it, Art Henry? Division 16 down there? What's the division number? He knows the division number. All those buses sleep at night there. But as they sleep at night, the revenue for this will gain will make that something for everybody 24/7 in the beauty of the park. Thank you, Ms. Perry, for your leadership. And as chairman of the Arts and Parks and Aging Committee, I don't want to age anymore. I want to vote yes for this.
Mr. Clerk, On 21A, there's a request to go forthwith on 21A. Thank you. Ms. Perry.
I don't know if it's still necessary, but to clarify and to respond to some of the concerns that Mr. Weiss raised, Mr. Westhoff is possibly best suited to answer those questions or respond to what part the city did play in putting us in this position.
Sure. The city of Los Angeles took some action, and this goes back some more than 4 years, actually some 15 years ago, when the city council took an action to downzone the area that was then owned by the railroads. And in downzoning that, there was a lawsuit that evolved out of that, and a settlement was the purchase of that property by the MTA and the city of Los Angeles of that strip between Big and Little Santa Monica Boulevard. And in the purchase of that, it was done in lieu of condemnation, which triggered some potential rights for billboard companies to, when they were removed from that property, to sue. And that is the lawsuit that Mr. Weiss referred to, is a lawsuit by Clear Channel against the MTA, because it was the MTA who, in essence, asked them to vacate the property so that the city of Los Angeles, with funds from MTA, funds from gas tax, and other funds, could build the $60 million project, which combined Big and Little Santa Monica. Mr. Weiss is correct. There's no lawsuit pending right now involving the city of Los Angeles. There is an agreement between the MTA and the city of Los Angeles relative to the development of Santa Monica Boulevard and the combination of Big and Little Santa Monica Boulevard, which was just finished as a project about a year ago, which potentially has liability for the city of Los Angeles. The MTA has asserted that one of the clauses in that agreement could make the city of Los Angeles liable if the billboard company were to win its lawsuit against MTA. I believe that the city has defenses to that lawsuit, and obviously our office would vigorously defend that, but it is what we term in the legal parlance the contingent liability. There is the liability potentially for MTA, and then there is the potential contingent liability that MTA passes that liability on to the city. There are two other factors about the park that I think need to be at least mentioned so that the council have all the facts. This particular environmental project was part of the settlement with the Santa Monica Baykeeper, EPA, and Justice over sewer spills that occurred a number of years ago. And this is one of the supplemental environmental projects, a SEP, that was offered to the Baykeeper, EPA, Justice, and the regional board as part of that settlement. So if this project falls out, then it's going to have the ripple effect of us having to go back and offer another project and come to some hopeful agreement with the plaintiffs in that particular lawsuit to remove this. There is also Prop O funding that the council has approved for this particular park that is pending as well. So those are two other factors that the council can take into account when it decides this matter.
Thank you. Mr. Zine, and then we have some public comment cards as well.
Thank you, Mr. President. Jan, I want to compliment you on 4 years of hard work. How many parks do you have in that district, in your district, the 9th District?
Like this one?
Like any parks?
Well, I have to Green Meadows, Fred Roberts, Gilbert Lindsay, South Park, and then we now have the Augustus Hawkins Wetlands Park, which is at Slauson and Compton, and this would be the newest addition, and Trinity Park, Slauson Rec Center.
So you don't have an overabundance of parks?
No, not at all.
Any golf courses?
No.
Any country clubs?
We are the second most park-poor district in the city.
In the city.
I think Ed has the first position, the unenviable position.
So clearly there's a need for it. My question about the MTA, where are they going to go? And those buses that serve the community?
Correct. Well, and maybe I'll take a step back. MTA came to the city and actually, Clear Channel went to MTA with a proposed settlement, which involved the establishment of the 4 faces that are subject of the SUD. That offer was transmitted from MTA to the city to see if the city was interested in participating in a settlement that would eliminate the contingent liability and, in return, provide a sale of this particular property for MTA. Now, MTA is here, can talk about how they're going to relocate, but it was our understanding that only portions of this property were being utilized by MTA, and that there was at least the potential that they would move the remaining facilities on that site to other locations for MTA, and that would...
This isn't going to curtail the transportation services for that part of the community, though?
Not at all.
They'll still have that access?
Not at all.
And the other question I have deals with Caltrans and the California Highway Patrol. I know that billboards are billboards, and they've got static displays along the freeway. They have on the side of buildings, major advertising. That's been there. As I understand, this is the new technology in billboard, which is a video display. Are there any concerns regarding Caltrans or the CHP with this type of billboard versus the static type of billboard?
I have not heard of any having been raised with this project. I mean, I'm not aware that they have expressed any concern to the city.
Have they been contacted?
That I do not know.
See, I'm just concerned that we do something, and I support Jan Perry in this endeavor to enhance her community. At the same time, I'm concerned that we don't do something and then get called on the carpet for doing something that is going to be ruled inappropriate by either the Caltrans authority that has jurisdiction over the freeway or the California Highway Patrol. Because I know this is a new technology, and I see it develop in other parts of the city. It clearly increases the revenue for the billboard company. My focus on it, do we cross the line with Caltrans, with the CHP? Have we asked, have we consulted, have we done anything with them?
That I have no knowledge of, Council Member.
Okay. If you could respond?
Caltrans has issued approval of the permit for the sign.
Caltrans is fine with it?
They have, yes.
Okay, that was my concern. So, Jan Perry, I'll support this endeavor. I know that you're not trying to put billboards everywhere, but this trade-off and the $19 million project that you worked on for 4 years is a long endeavor, and in that light, I'll be supporting it. So, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. We have some public speaker cards. We'll start. Yep. Yes.
Waive the public comment portion since there's been an opportunity. The city attorney may have an opinion on that, but they've commented in public.
Yeah,
in Plum.
Item number 12.
Go ahead.
So item number 12 was waived through committee. There should be an opportunity for public comment here. It can be limited. It could be 1 minute each.
I would say 1 minute each because I want to be considerate of people's time.
Okay.
And my speakers who are here today from the 9th District, I have read their names before. Maybe they could just stand up and a few people could speak, maybe 4 from each side. But recognizing Pastor Duran Johnson from Phillips Temple, Carol White, Voices of 90037 Neighborhood Council, Joe Turner of the Jeopardy Program and Can Do Neighborhood Council, Ernest Tate of Voices Neighborhood Council, Lewis Robinson, Can Do Neighborhood Council, Rogelio Macedonio, Trinity Park Block Club, Julia Boteo, 23rd Street Block Captain, Gloria Mendez, 25th Street Block Captain, Claudia Guevara, 23rd Street Block Captain, and of course Adela Barajas from Laura, the nonprofit she has set up in memory of her slain sister-in-law, and Life After Uncivil Rude Acts are all here today. So maybe if they could all stand together at the podium and just 4 people speak. Okay, if we're going to do 1 minute each.
Thank you. Our first speaker would be... we actually have from the opposing side first, and then we'll come to the for side, if you don't mind. Mort Allen will be our first speaker. Mr. Allen, if you'd like to come forward. If I could just ask folks, we'll grab you in just a moment. We'll do the against side first, and then we'll wrap up with a for. Mr. Allen, after that will be Ted Wu.
Ready?
Right.
1 minute, huh? First of all, the main thing is, where is the evidence that you have to overturn the Planning Commission's thing about public safety? You can't vote on this unless you have the evidence that they did it. I'm going to tell you this. I've been around a long time. I find this unconscionable what's going on. To use the promise of a park for poor minority children as a hammer to get 4 billboards on the freeway. 2 digital on the freeway. And the city is not a part of the lawsuit, has no exposure now, but will have by the lawsuits planned by the other companies. There is no adequate EIR. I'm not against billboards. I think they're great. I love them in Hollywood. I love them in the areas there, but not where you're going to have people killed in traffic accidents on that horrible interchange there when they all go together. I've also don't believe that you're giving away $2,800,000 a year in income and not getting one penny of it. At the airport, you're getting 70% of the billboards. Can I finish? Only 1 minute?
Finish that sentence? You want to finish the sentence, Mr. Allen? Go ahead. I'm sorry, I know a minute's short. That's what was moved. Ted Wu is our next speaker. After that is Barbara Monahan Burke. Mr. Wu here? Oh, there you go.
My name is Ted Wu, and I come here before you as a concerned citizen. I also come here to support the much-needed and much-deserved park that Councilwoman Jen Perry worked so hard to get. And unfortunately, she's held hostage by a special interest industry. I also come to ask you not to commit the illegal act and the immoral act of establishing the SUD adjacent to 10 freeway at the demand of a special interest industry with an evil and incredible power. I don't have time to tell you all the illegal aspects of this endeavor, but it is immoral to ignore the potential hazard digital images present to freeway drivers, which is the reason that cities across the nation are banning or temporarily banning digital billboards along highways. It is irresponsible to open the city. Thank you very much for letting me tell you this. Can I submit this
Yes,
for the
absolutely. If one
record?
of the Sergeant at Arms would be kind enough to take Mr. Wu's just to your left, sir. We've got somebody who can take that from you. Thank you very much. Barbara Monahan Burke is our next speaker. After that is Dennis Hathaway. Good morning.
Honorable City Council, Barbara Monahan Burke, Studio City Neighborhood Council, board member and chair of Government Affairs Committee. I am today speaking personally. I oppose the proposal as it is combined as A and B. You should bifurcate this proposal to two issues. You have the power to do that. They should not be tied together. Then and only then should the South LA Wetland Park be created. South LA, all of LA is park poor, and South LA certainly needs this park. I support that. The addition of the two digital billboards alongside the 10 freeway is unacceptable. I believe it is unsafe with invasive, distracting visual blight. We cannot have that throughout our city. There are only certain places that it might be allowed. So, bifurcate this proposal, do not tie them together, and vote against these billboards. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Dennis Hathaway.
Thank you. I just want to say there is one reason, and there is only one reason, why a vote against the sign district is a vote against the park, and that is because of the MTA's condition on the sale of the property. If that condition was dropped, you could vote right now on that park project and let that go forward. Let that wonderful project be developed for the people of that part of the city. Then you could vote on the sign district. You could, if you believed that the sign district was in the best interest of the city, you could vote to approve it. The way it's being done now is wrong. This is a cynical abuse of the public process to tie these two things together. And it also divides people. I like to think that we're all neighbors in this city, that I have shared interests with people in that district, that doing things is good for those people. You should unite us, not divide us.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hathaway. Our next speaker is on the far side. Adela Barajas is our first speaker. After that, we'll hear from Pastor John Duran Johnson.
Good morning, Mr. President and members of the council. Duran Johnson, Phillips Temple Church. I want to say what's immoral is to attempt to impede what's going on in another district and to continue to refer to them people, poor minorities, when we are trying to enhance the quality of life in Council District 9. This wetlands park will provide an opportunity for families and children to have educational exposure, recreational opportunities, and to get caught up on two signs that's going to be in an industrial area when we have the opportunity to develop green space in an urban area is just ludicrous. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Barajas?
You see these pictures here? These are the reasons why you need to approve. The billboards are going to give light to the area down LA where a lot of crime goes on. And these reasons right here, or this woman, should be more enough of a reason why you let us have that wetland park. I don't care what its effect going to be on the west side or why these people are coming here to comment, because they all have a beautiful neighborhood to live in and their kids to be brought up in. My sister-in-law was murdered a year ago, okay, through gang violence, through the youth that do not have jobs right now. You need to give this park the opportunity so that a lot of youth could be hired there and our younger ones could go and observe the beauty of a park that all the other people from out of the inner city have that we do not have. I support Jan Perry and all of you should. Y los que hablan español, apoyen a su gente. Gracias.
Thank you very much. Julia Botello is our next speaker.
Buenos días, everybody, everyone. Mi nombre es Julia Botello y soy residente del sur centro de Los Ángeles, Distrito 9, por muchos años. Y yo vengo para que nos apoyen y nos ayuden, pues queremos el parque. Solo yo tengo 32 nietos y 18 bisnietos, entonces se necesita. Alrededor vive bastante gente, bastantes apartamentos con muchos niños, muchos jóvenes. Y por eso vengo a pedirles y que nos apoyen. El parque se necesita. Yo no
Un momento,
quiero...
Julia, por traducción.
Caramba.
Okay,
See if I can do my best. Good morning, Council. My name is Julia Botello, and I'm here to support the Councilwoman to let you guys know that we need a park space, a space for our children to grow up in. I have 32 grandchildren, 18 great-grandchildren, and the people that live around in that park area need somewhere to play in.
Vivimos de todas las razas y de todos colores. Así es que hay bastantes niños, se necesita. No quiero estar dentro de mi casa amargándome, pensando malos pensamientos. Quiero estar debajo de un árbol, oliendo a rosas, oyendo a los pajaritos. Así es que, por favor, apóyennos. Ya parece que estoy viejita, no me siento mucho, pero se necesita, por favor, otra vez.
And I would just like to continue asking for support. I'm a elder woman, and I don't want to be stuck in home just with nothing to do, just thinking of bad thoughts, especially for the kids and children that live in the area. They need somewhere to go, somewhere to do something better with their time.
Muchas gracias, que tengan buen día. Mis orgullos, ya saben cuáles son mis orgullos. Y have a nice day, y God bless you too. Apóyenos, por favor, lo necesitamos. Ayúdenos. Vivimos puros pobres. Los padres no tienen dinero para llevar a los niños a Disneyland. Así se necesita salir al parque, por favor. Y gracias por todo.
So please help us. We need all the help that we can get. The children have nowhere to go. The parents here don't have enough money to take the kids to places like Disneyland or anywhere else. Please help the council member with this project, and thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Gracias. Our last speaker is Carol White.
Good morning, Council. I just wanted to say one thing. I really appreciate those of you on the City Council that support this project, as do I. But I am kind of concerned over the compassion of people who are more concerned over some pathetic aesthetic ideal of unfettered views off the 10 freeway over a park which can enrich the lives of children in our community. I listened to Jamel Shaw's family and supporters this morning. And this is an opportunity that should be considered in many of our gang-ridden areas of the city, where young kids can go, where they can be safe, where they can enjoy the park and the birds and the wildlife. And I'm hoping that all of you will support it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We're going to read into the record, Ms. Perry, the other names. We also had Louis
Thank you.
Robinson, Rogelio Macedonio, Gloria Mendez, Joe Turner, Ernest Tate, and Yvonne Michelle Autry. We'll return to Ms. Perry now.
Great, and if there's no further questions or comments, I would like to vote, and obviously I ask for an aye vote, and ask and beseech all of you for your support. And I know this is difficult for some, and I appreciate the difficulty, but ask you to adopt the communication from the Chair of Plum, that's 11A, and item 12, the ordinance to follow for this SUD. But again, an aye vote will be a great step towards the future and a better future for the people that I'm elected to represent in South Los Angeles.
Thank you, Ms. Perry. We also had General Jeff as a card that was submitted for the record. And so 11B is receive and file, or is that to, you moved 11A and 12, but would we take any action with 11B? Ms. Perry? Okay, well, we'll take the vote first on 11A and 12. So please open the roll on this item. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes, 1 no.
Okay, that is approved. And we have the rest of the item. Is that to be received and filed? Okay. We can open the roll on receiving and filing the remaining part. Please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
14 ayes.
Okay, that part is received and filed. And the ordinance will carry over a week since that is a non-unanimous vote. So 1 week from now, we will have that. So, sorry, Ms. Perry?
Okay, so that the community understands that because of on 12, would you explain that to them?
Okay, on item, which part of it? I'm sorry, on item 12?
12?
12 is an ordinance, so that part will carry over 1 week. An ordinance requires a unanimous vote of 12 members or more on a first reading, or else it gets carried over 1 week, which means a second vote is taken a week later and just requires a simple majority of at least 8 members, which was reflected in today's vote.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Mr. Smith?
I ask, on behalf of Ms. Gruhl, ask for reconsideration on item number 8 for language change.
Okay, hold on 1 sec, Mr. City Attorney. On the last item, did you have something?
On the last item, it still would require 10 votes next week.
Okay, sorry. Thank you for the correction. If there's no objection, we'll reconsider item 8, please. Please open the roll on reconsideration of 8.
8.
Today's agenda number 8. We have to add an amendment to. Please close the roll and tabulate a vote.
13 ayes.
That is now before us. Mr. Smith, if you'd like to read into the record for Ms. Gruhl.
Thank you very much. On behalf of Ms. Gruhl, she asked that the language be changed to authorize the fund that the money is deposited into, and I'll give you the language. It's Fund Number 212, Department 88, Account C202, Multi-Purpose Equestrian Trail for the receipt of contributions deposited by the owners of Angeles National Golf Course, the City of Los Angeles. I'll give you those.
Thank you very much. Without objection, those will be accepted as friendly amendments. If we can reopen the roll on item number 8. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That's approved. Next item, please.
Item 16 was called special for cards from the public.
Okay, item 16 is before us. Simi Seaman, if you'd like to come forward on item number 16, be pleased to hear your testimony at this time. Thank you.
Yes, good morning again, President and City Council members. My name is Simi Seaman. I'm here today representing the Wilmington Historical Society, and I'm definitely in support for the Mexican fan palm culture monuments for Avalon Boulevard. There was one mistake, though, on that. There are 218 fan palms that cover 1.2 miles from Lameda Boulevard to West I Street instead of West First Street that was indicated on the agenda. These palm trees are the gateway to the harbor. They were planted in 1931 as part of the beautification efforts for the 1932 Olympics, and also as a part for the beautification of about 650 to 700,000 visitors that were coming from Canal Street, which is now Avalon, leaving to go to Catalina. There was also people that were departing from New York and the Atlantic seaboards and European ports that were getting their first impression of Los Angeles through the Avalon corridor, and that was the palm trees. The palm trees have become a part of the life of the Wilmington community and are valued by the locals through the district and through our many visitors that visit our community. The palms are an important demonstration in the evolution of Wilmington's history. It is associated with William Wrigley, Jr., the chewing gum magnate, and the baseball gentleman. Wrigley was instrumental in securing these palm trees for Avalon Boulevard. The majestic palms lining Avalon Boulevard are more than just a landscape. They are the signature skyline tree for Los Angeles. In most major cities, buildings mark the skyline. Paris has its towers, London has its clock, only Los Angeles signs the skyline with trees. The palms have created a significant skyline effect in the midtown of our community, Wilmington, resulting in character from nearby communities and defining the gateway to the harbor. The Mexican fan palms are California's trademark. They're characteristics of the 1920s era, and they are the city's floral prize. They're on postcards, and they're in films, and they're truly Southern California's landmark, and I hope for your support on this very important thing for our community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your testimony today. And Ms. Hahn from the council, like to be heard at this point.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I want to thank Simi for coming down here and speaking on this. The item before us today, colleagues, is, I think it's a little bit unique. This is to include the palm trees located on Avalon Street in Wilmington on the list of historic cultural monuments. Our Cultural Heritage Commission found that these palm trees reflect the broad cultural, economic, and social history of our nation, our state, or our community. These trees were an integral part of the development of Wilmington and of the Port of Los Angeles. As Simi said, these were planted in 1931, 218 Mexican fan palm trees. They were planted by the city as part of the beautification efforts for the 1932 Olympics. The palm trees were also planted as an improvement effort for Avalon Boulevard, which was used as a route between Los Angeles and the Catalina Terminal, a major transportation hub for travelers going to Catalina Island and elsewhere. In fact, the name of the street, Avalon, came to be because it was the gateway to Catalina and the city of Avalon over on the island. The request to declare these trees a historic cultural monument was brought to me by members of the Banning Park Historic Preservation Overlay Zone, Simi Seaman, Jose Arroyo, and it has the support of the Wilmington Neighborhood Council, and I urge and I vote today to protect and preserve this part of the cultural and community fabric of the community of Wilmington. I think this is a historic day that we're declaring palm trees as a historic cultural monument. And maybe this will get me some good press as opposed to the bad press I got when I asked our departments to not plant more palm trees, as sometimes they were a difficult tree for our city to maintain. So now we're preserving them, we're proud of them, and this is a great day for Wilmington and really the city of Los Angeles. So I urge your support on this.
Mr. Cardenas.
Thank you very much. I think it's appropriate to recognize the fact that over at the port we're having more and more visitors. And the fact of the matter is, whenever you see Los Angeles on TV, I've been in other cities around the country and actually around the world, when they show pictures of Los Angeles, they always show palm trees. So we're recognized for that, and I think it's important if we can make these palm trees part of our historical preservation here. I think it's a good thing. Hopefully they'll live a long, long, long life, and we can keep them so that when people come to Los Angeles, they do get that image that they've been fed. And there's nothing wrong with that, because Los Angeles does have a lot of palm trees, and it certainly is something we're known for. And also I noticed that it says here that they're Mexican fan palm trees. If those palm trees were brought here illegally, I think that we ought to have amnesty for them. They have roots in the community. They're a symbol of Los Angeles. They've given much to the city of Los Angeles, and I think it's important for us to preserve them and keep them here as long as they want. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Cardenas. That's our last speaker of the council members. Let's go ahead and open the roll on this consideration. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
13 ayes.
That is approved. Next item.
Item 19, call special for cards from the public.
19, we have cards first in Van Nuys. I'd like to recognize Sharon Brewer. She'll be followed by Donna Pearman and Miriam Fogler. And we'll come back here for Michael Carrion. Ms. Brewer.
Thank you. I thought you would have done the other ones first because they did it before me. Anyway, Sharon Brewer, item number 19, special event fee waivers. 3 total, 3 with amounts, $8,256. 2 are USC events, totaling $3,756. You have one that's for $4,500 that is sponsored by the Lincoln Heights Chamber of Commerce, where local merchants display their ware. You have one after the event. I refer to Council File 052467-S1 that says that you have to approve the motion beforehand because it triggers the city's liability insurance coverage for events and provides authorizations for street closures, temporary parking restrictions, and related actions associated with the special events. Basically, that's all I have on this event. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Donna Pearman is our next speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Garcetti.
You're welcome.
And again, we have more fee waivers. Fee waivers. We could fix our city nicely, infrastructure, potholes, if you didn't constantly have fee waivers. First, why are we paying for events done by USC? Certainly USC can pay for their own events. And again, we have events approved after the fact. Is that right? Sagwa sale in Lincoln Heights is after the fact. These fee waivers don't fix the real problems that is happening in Los Angeles. It doesn't help the homeless problems, gang problems, by the way, murder is wrong, whether it be illegal or legal gang members. Gang members are taking our city and you are waiving fees. You want to penalize city employees, make them take their days off without pay, but I don't see, but seeing which fee waivers can be paid in another way. Stop automatically always paying fee waivers. This is wrong. Thank you.
Miriam Fogler is our next speaker.
This is thievery, and the public should have a right to vote on these items. For this matter, you people have no competency here. In my opinion, that's what I feel about you. And the people should speak up at the ballot box. All of you have to take the road, because everybody's here limited on this planet, and this is going too far. These add up. And this is your perks, and they were talking about it in the Daily News today. Stop this. And nobody's minding the till here at City Hall. That's another thing that the Daily News, and I hope that they keep doing whistleblowing here on this. This is unbelievable that people get away with this, allowing special favoritism to organizations like, I know my mom went to USC, may she rest in peace. She went to that school, and they can afford it. They're rich people that go there. They should need no problem. A lot of these other organizations, they're Catholic churches. They should be going their own way. This is a church and state statute. Separation should be upheld. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Michael Carrion is our next speaker, 19C.
Yes, my name is Michael Carrion.
And we're talking about $4,500 for sidewalk in Lincoln Heights. The Lincoln Heights Chamber of Commerce is even there illegally. Why are we giving money away to a Chamber of Commerce that does not exist? Number one. Number two, Lincoln Heights is having a sale. Why can't they pay for their own? You guys are talking about saving children's lives. I live in El Sereno, and my kids wanted to play at the park, some organized sports, and they were told they have to pay $18 an hour. But yet, you guys are giving $4,500 away to go sell stuff on the street so vendors could make money. If they're making money by selling their merchandise, why can't they pay part of this? It's just an easier way for you to pat somebody else's wallet while children are trying to get off the street and you want to charge them $18 an hour to use a public park. And if they play organized sports in a public park, they will be kicked out because they don't pay the $18. But you got organized vendors that you want to put waivers on, $4,500 a shot, which is almost once a month they have this. So if you multiply that by 12, you're giving a lot of money away to vendors so they can come in and take over the sidewalks and the streets and have all the parking enforcement out there to do all of this work so that vendors can take money back to their communities and not put anything in our communities. If this were only the vendors in Lincoln Heights, I'd say okay, but these are vendors from all over the city. Yet my children can't go play at the park because you want to charge them. You're charging our children to play at the park, but you're giving money away to vendors. I don't understand that.
That's our last public speaker. If we can please open the roll on this item, close the roll and tabulate the vote.
12 ayes.
That is approved. Next item, please.
Item 38, called special for cards from the public.
All right. Item 38, Sharon Brewer is our first speaker, then Donna Pearman, and Miriam Fogler. And then we'll come back, Mr. Rosendahl, right after the public comments on this. Okay. Oh.
Yes.
Okay. Hold on 1 second before you start, Ms. Brewer. Go ahead, Mr. Rosendahl. Did you want to?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. There needed to be a clarification. The entire costs of this special event are being paid for by the private sector, by Mr. Reardon. The city is not paying for it at all. And we put language that would be clear about it, and the language.
This is on which item?
Item 38. The full cost is 38K.
Okay. Thank you. On 38K.
Okay. The full cost of this event will be reimbursed to the city.
Thank you for that clarification. We'll hear from Ms. Brewer and then Ms. Pearman.
Hi, Sharon Brewer. Item number 38, special event fee waivers, 14 total, 12 with amounts. I guess now 11 with amounts. Anyway, 12 with amounts added up to $36,688, 2 to reimburse, possibly 3 to reimburse now. You have 7 after the event. The total is $18,324. You have one that's March 27th all the way up to April 6th. Again, the council file 052467S1 about approving these motions before the event. I guess you're lucky that nothing's happened because the insurance is not triggered until you approve these events. And actually, I was going to speak on K, but since that got clarified, that's good. What the problem is, there is one that is another USC event. That's H. It's only $968. Take back the night. Again, the events the events themselves are not the problem. It's that the city is waiving the fee for them. These ones for religious schools or anything else, they need to find a way to have their event and not involve the city departments. The city is still having a problem with their budgets. Everything that I read shows that the city leaders are refusing to go and touch these fee waivers, this special event fee waivers, and you have to start looking everywhere for cutting the budget. Lloyd Levine, Assembly Member. Don J., $4,690. I think he gets paid. But again, events are good. Just leave the city out of reimbursing that event. Thank you.
Thank you. Donna Pearman is our next speaker.
Okay, again, we see more fee waivers. See other events after the fact. Cesar Chavez Walk on March 27th. Comedy for Cure, April the 6th. Annual St. Vincent Catholic School, March 28th to the 30th. Also, where is separation of church and state? Shouldn't the church pay for it? And there's a Markaraki relocation event. Sorry, I mispronounced it, on March 28th. That's after the event. And Take Back the Night on April 2nd. Also a USC event. The USG should be paying for that, even if it is a small amount. And Bakaraki Holiday Parade on April the 6th. I don't like the St. Mark's School Fiesta. Also, it's a problem with separation of church and state. But basically, we can't afford paying for all these events that are the fee waivers. Our city is having lots of problems, and how dare they still ask the city employees asking for 5 days off or 5 weeks off or take back their perks. This is not right, and still you have fee waivers. Certainly the city can't afford fee waivers if they can't afford to pay the city employees. Thank you.
Thank you. Miriam Fogler is our last speaker on this item.
I wish the unions would see what's going on here with these special fee waivers. These are ways to cutting the waste, and they wouldn't have to worry about you people having VICA coming and making suggestions. Why don't we combat the unions' pensions and their health care? They want to do the same thing like you did with General Motors, cut out their health care or reduce their pay or something, or reduce their pensions or buy out people. I don't know, but this is going to be very bad, folks, if that happens, contracting out, and it's got to stop. So the people of the city, the coalition of unions are sitting at the table and they're talking, and I wish they would talk about these fee waivers. Can't they hear me out there? I mean, you guys out there you got women and men and women of all races here. These are your jobs. You want to have a secure city here. You want to make sure it's going to be here for the next generation. We want to make sure the city's going to be functioning well. So we need to do something about getting rid of this fat. These are pork barrels here. These fee waivers got to go. And I know the programs are good, but there's got to be ways that, the council people can make plans to raise money. They can help them raise money to build these programs. And it's just the way it's being done. It's not good. This is not ethically right, and it should be before the Ethics Committee. I thought the mayor was going to put a moratorium, and they've talked about in the budget discussions, they said they're going to stop this. They were going to put a moratorium on this. I wish you would not vote for it. Please vote no. I never seen you vote no for one of these. I never see. Always yes.
Thank you very much. That is our last public comment card on that item. If we can please open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved as well. I'd like to recognize Mr. Alarcon at this time.
Members, I'd like to request to change my vote on an item that we considered last week regarding the DWP rate increases. I thought I had voiced my change of vote, and the president actually recognized that, but it was not heard on the microphone, so it did not reflect in the actual vote count. So if there's no objection, I would like to request that this body's permission to, I would like to request that my vote be changed to no and have the vote recorded as a 10-1 vote for the item regarding 2K.
Thank you. Any objection? Hearing none, that will be the order. Thank you. Next order of business.
Item 46, called special by Councilmember Cardenas.
Mr. Cardenas, number 46.
Thank you very much. Appreciate this opportunity to bring to light the fact that there is a Resolution 189 by Sanchez in the Congress, which is basically stating that we should establish a national recognized holiday to honor Vietnam veterans. Everybody in this country remembers the fact that up until 1975, from 1961 to 1975, we had soldiers in Vietnam, but they never received a proper welcome for serving their country, and the establishment of a Welcome Home Vietnam's Veteran Day would be an appropriate way to honor those members of the United States Armed Forces who served in Vietnam during the Vietnam War. Many of us have family members who have served in Vietnam. Many of us know people who have served in the armed forces, and it's appropriate that we recognize them for their service to their country. And I think that it's unfortunate that they haven't received the proper recognition and welcome. With all due respect, it was wonderful to see that in 1982, the Vietnam Veterans Memorial was dedicated in Washington, D.C. But I think it's important for us to remind all of us here in this country that these men and women served their country and they deserve their proper recognition. In addition to that, this resolution we have here today would that the Council of the City of Los Angeles hereby declares March 30th, 2008 as Welcome Home Vietnam Veterans Day in the City of Los Angeles to honor those members of the United States Armed Forces who served in Vietnam. And I would expect that we'll continue to do that every year thereafter. Thank you.
And our very own Vietnam veteran himself, Mr. Bill Rosendahl.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, Mr. Cardenas. As a Vietnam-era vet, someone who spent his first year as a psychoanalyst in a mental hygiene clinic seeing 8 or 9 Vietnam vets a day, and someone who right now is involved with the VA property and with the homeless veterans and those with other issues who are veterans, I got to tell you, it's long overdue that the Vietnam veterans are appreciated for putting themselves in harm's way. I literally know many vets, colleagues of mine, who are still suffering with the reality of that war, and I am terribly upset that our country sends young people to war, and then when they come out of war, they never give them the adequate resources, they never give them the adequate support. We're going through the same experience again with Iraq. We're sending these young men and women not only in harm's way, but the second time and the third time and the fourth time. And they come back with many issues. I mean, let me tell you, war isn't something you turn off the light to. And for God's sake, we've waited long enough to honor the Vietnam-era vets, and this is the right thing to do. And thank you, Mr. President, for letting me speak.
Thank you, Mr. Rosendahl. With that, let's go ahead and open the roll on this item. Please close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
That is approved. Thank you very much. Mr. City Attorney?
The next item is a Rule 23 motion. I'll recite the facts as presented to me by the maker of the motion for the consideration of the adequacy of the findings. Since the posting of today's agenda, the CRA learned that the Blossom Plaza project was identified as eligible for infill infrastructure grant program funding. The cancellation of last Friday's meeting prevented the introduction of a Rule 16 motion and placement on today's agenda. Immediate action is required to meet the deadline to include the project in the list of projects. Council must first make findings pursuant to Government Code Section 54954.2 before considering the substantive motion.
Okay, anybody on the findings? If not, let's go ahead and open the roll on the findings. Close the roll and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
Pursuant to Rule 23 of the Council, that item's now before us. Mr. Reyes?
I'd like to ask for an aye vote. Take the time.
Very convincing argument. I'm there. With that, let's go ahead and open the roll, close the roll, and tabulate the vote.
11 ayes.
All right, that is approved.
And therefore,
Forthwith without objection, please. Next order of business.
Council has motions for posting and referral.
Those are posted and referred. Next
There are
item.
excuses on the desk. Councilmember Weiss requests to be excused to leave at noon on April 29th and to leave at 11:30 on April 30th, both for city business. That meets council policy.
All right, Mr. Weiss is excused.
Councilmember Perry requests to be excused May 27th for city business. That meets council policy.
She is excused as well.
And Councilmember Perry requests to be excused to leave early for today's meeting, the entire meeting of tomorrow, and to leave early for Friday's meeting, all for personal business. A motion is required.
Okay, I will move that. Ms. Hahn seconds without objection. That excuse will be granted as well.
Councilmember Garcetti requests be excused for the meetings of July 22nd, 23rd, 25th, 29th, and 30th for personal business that meets council policy.
Thank you. I will. Mr. Weezer is against it, but I will be serving the United States Navy, so I'll send the Navy out to take care of him without objection.
And Councilmember Garcetti requests be excused to arrive at 10:30 on April 15th for city business. A motion is required.
Okay. I'll move that. Mr. Cardenas seconds for that 15-minute excuse.
That clears the desk.
Okay. Any business announcements, colleagues? Announcements of business nature? If not, can I please ask everybody to rise for our adjourning motions? Oh, announcement, Mr. Cardenas?
Did you?
Are there announcements? Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
Mr. Alarcon, then Mr. Cardenas.
Okay, this April 13th and 19th is National Crime Victims' Rights Week, and I just wanted to announce that we're going to be doing a car wash in the community of Panorama City with the California Department of Juvenile Justice and Department of Juvenile Justice parole agents and parolees to benefit the Valley Trauma Counseling Center. So we're hoping to raise a little bit of money, but mainly we just want to make people aware. So if you need to get your car washed, but also to shed light on Crime Victims' Rights Week, we thought this would be an interesting event with parolees participating in a positive activity. That would be, I'm sorry, I didn't give you the time. The time is 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Friday, April 11th at the San Fernando Valley Juvenile Parole Office on 8737 Van Nuys Boulevard. For more information, call my office.
Okay. Any other business announcements? Mr. Cardenas?
Yes, Council President. I want to thank all the city employees that bought all that food off of my staff. They had a fundraiser the other day, and it was for the March of Dimes. Yes, it was good. March of Dimes, and they raised $600. So I just wanted to thank all the city employees for their appetite and for opening their wallets and enjoying the good food for the March of Dimes. And I want to thank my staff as well for working really hard. Also, I want to thank my staff in advance for they're going to be walking on April 26th as well. The CD6 team are going to put on their tennis shoes and do some more good work. So thank you.
Okay. Announcements, Mr. Reyes and Mr. Rosendahl?
Just wanted to congratulate the UCLA Bruins for making it to the Final Four 3 years in a row. And Ben Holland, you're a great coach. And that's what other schools can say that.
Very, very proud. Any Jayhawks in the audience here? Jayhawks? No? All right. Yeah, Mr. Cardenas?
Closing note, how far did USC make it? Did they get to the second round?
It's all about positive energy, Mr. Cardenas. Oh. Positive energy. Mr. Rosendahl?
Mr. President, standing next to me is Alex Fay. Alex has been watching my back on this council floor, an incredible environmentalist, a tremendously bright young man. Today he turns 23 years old.
Doesn't look a day over 22.
Say a word or two. How does it feel?
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Very happy birthday. And one last very exciting announcement, colleagues. The City Community Liaison Advocate in the office of the city clerk, which is the person who will assist constituents when they come here to the microphone, something we've all talked about doing here in council, right now has been hired. We're pleased to announce the appointment of Ms. Shannon Hops to fill this position, which will be a key function of our council and public services division in the city clerk's office. So she's right here. If we would welcome her, I don't know if we can get her on camera, but she will be the face of the City of Los Angeles, assisting folks when getting the right documents, making sure that they have answers to their questions, directing constituents to the appropriate offices and departments. And just as we do each day with our constituent service staffs, we are very excited to have her here, and we welcome her. And Mr. Zine, did you want to add?
Mr. President, I think that was my motion a long time ago, and there was some criticism on that motion, but I know that the representative has been around City Hall for a long time, will definitely be here to help people, because people come up and ask a question, and where do they go next? So this is a wonderful opportunity to better serve the public.
Between our live broadcasts, our webcasts, our podcasts, our ability to testify from Van Nuys, our taking the show on the road, now having this great position in the city clerk's office, and the work of all of your great staffs, we really try to make ourselves as available.
We'll give her a nice target so they'll be able to identify her.
Absolutely. We'll give her a good jacket. Yes, Ms. Hahn.
she also going to be the official liaison to the neighborhood councils?
Absolutely.
of the city?
She will be as well. She will be the administrator of she'd be the administrator of the council's policies on community renaming, coordinator of the community impact statement process for neighborhood councils, and act as the primary city contact for neighborhood councils with respect to providing education and information when council files and neighborhood council files have been received and referred to the city clerk. So, welcome aboard. We will now have adjourning motions. Colleagues, I ask first, and our family friend and my friend Norman Schramoff is here as well, that I ask that we adjourn in memory of Saul Niedorf, MD. Saul was born in New York City, but moved at an early age to Los Angeles, where he attended Roosevelt High School in Boyle Heights. He graduated from UCLA in 1952 with majors in zoology and psychology, and in 1953 from the School of Social Work. But because he had been blacklisted for his political ideology and activities at college, he did not get accepted into an American medical school. He worked as a social worker, and then in 1953 went to Geneva and entered the Faculty of Medicine at the University of Geneva, Switzerland. The refugee experience and educational atmosphere in Geneva were the formative forces of his character and his profession. Dr. Niedorf was a peripatetic consultant and analyst. Following his return to the United States, he became involved with dozens of clinics and institutions throughout the nation, from Maine to San Francisco, St. Louis to New York, before finally settling in Los Angeles in 1973. Dr. Niedorf's commitment to the psychiatric welfare of the individual and the community involved him with diverse populations, children, refugees, women's care, and incarcerated adolescents. From 1975 until the week before he died, Dr. Niedorf was a consultant to the Los Angeles County Department of Mental Health Children's Services Division, Weekly Screening and Placement Committee, doing some of the most difficult work in this town. He had also worked as treatment director of the State of California Youth Authority Marshall Intensive Treatment Program. He joined the medical staff of Cedars-Sinai in 1977 and served in the Department of Psychiatry until 1994 when he became a member of the emeritus staff. He passed away on March 17th, 2008 at age 77. Dr. Niedorf leaves his incredible wife, Anne-Marie Stas Niedorf, who many around this horseshoe know, daughter Toni, her husband and 4 children, and stepbrothers Dr. Richard Kagan and Dr. Robert Kagan. In lieu of flowers, contributions may be made to Physicians for Social Responsibility, and they can be found at psrla.org. Dr. Niedorf will be missed. May he rest in peace. All members on that. Thank you. Ms. Hahn, do you have it?
Thank you. Colleagues, it is with great sadness that I ask us to adjourn today in the honor of Monsignor Patrick Gallagher, one of the most prominent Catholic leaders in the South Bay and Harbor area, who died Friday after a brief illness. He was only 66. Monsignor Gallagher's outstanding service to the people of Mary Star of the Sea Church in San Pedro permeated beyond just the parish boundaries. He touched the lives of countless San Pedrans through his love of people, his Irish charm, and his tremendous sense of ministry. He will be remembered for generations to come as a charismatic leader and a loving pastor. Monsignor Gallagher was recognized by the Vatican for his good works. Just 6 months after his arrival in San Pedro, the late Pope John Paul II named Gallagher a Monsignor. The title was given to Patrick in appreciation for his work on behalf of the Church, including his leadership of a large and multi-ethnic parish and school system, and his role as chaplain to the Port of Los Angeles. I fondly remember many occasions together, especially his presence right here in our chambers as we declared the city of Ischia, Italy, as a sister city to Los Angeles. But I believe one of his greatest accomplishments was the building of the new Mary Star of the Sea High School in San Pedro. Monsignor Gallagher kept this dream alive through what was a very, very, very long process, culminating in the celebration of the new school's grand opening late last year. He possessed an incredible dedication to the young people of San Pedro. I was shocked and extremely saddened at the sudden loss and will greatly miss Monsignor Gallagher as a person of faith and a true friend. May he rest in peace. He's survived by several brothers and sisters, all of whom live in Ireland. We will miss Monsignor Gallagher tremendously. I'd also like us to adjourn in the memory of Salvador Chico, known to friends and family. He was born in 1932 in Los Angeles. He graduated in 1961 from Lincoln High School and played for his 50th high school reunion in September of 2003. He was a gifted vocalist and conga player who started his band in 1956. The Sal Chico Band opened for Richie Valens. Sal and his band were praised by musicians Tito Puente, Pancho Sanchez, and Carlos Santana, actor Edward James Olmos, and singer Linda Ronstadt, and featured in a book about musicians who had a big impact on life in East LA in the 50s and 60s. Sal and his band also played for many of the rallies organized by Dolores Huerta and Cesar Chavez in the early days of the farm workers' rights movement. He received a Lifetime Achievement Award from State Senator Gil Cedillo and from my brother, the former Mayor Jim Hahn, and the City of Los Angeles. He's survived by his wife Eleanor and 5 of his 6 children, 14 grandchildren, 7 great-grandchildren, 2 brothers, Nick and Mike Chico, and a sister, Dolores Condon, and many nieces and nephews. He was an uncle to Terry McKinnon, who was a member of my staff in San Pedro.
Thank you, Ms. Hahn. Mr. Alarcon?
I don't see Mr. Wise or Mr. Vaughn here. They might have wanted to adjourn in memory of Charlton Heston, a real icon of Los Angeles. I grew up watching his movies. He was my mother's favorite actor, and it was interesting when I was in college. My father, who was an upholsterer, had an order for Charles Heston, and so I had some time off, so I said, Dad, you want me to make the delivery? And I took a chair over to his house, and I was wondering whether it was Mr. Heston or not. And I delivered the chair, and certainly the chair that I was delivering was the chair where there were movie scripts lying around. A couple of Oscars were sitting in this room, and it was really an amazing experience. Then all of a sudden I heard the voice of Moses say, "Charles, get me my keys." And I met Mr. Heston. Politically, obviously, he and I were polar opposites on a lot of issues, particularly...
But big believers in the First Amendment together.
Yeah, but he was a champion for the First Amendment with regard to the National Rifle Association work that he did. Of course, he was a president of the Screen Actors Guild, and many know, but I think most of us relate to him for the incredible roles that he portrayed and the inspiration that he gave with his movies for championing the cause of justice, and that's how I recall him. And I think all of us have some memory. I then had an opportunity to meet him through Mayor Bradley's office, and I remember he was just a dominant spirit whenever he was in the room. And so I think Los Angeles has lost clearly a tremendous contributor to our society, and somebody that we certainly treasure having as part of our history.
Thank you. We'll do all members on that. Mr. Weezer, and then Mr. Reyes.
Mr. President and members, I would like to adjourn in the memory of Robert F. Going, the 16th president of Princeton University. He died of heart failure at the University Medical Center at Princeton on March 31st. He was 88 years old. He was born August 15, 1919, in Mangurla, India, where his parents were serving as Presbyterian medical missionaries. He moved to the United States in 1934 to finish high school education at the Lawrenceville School and graduated with honors. At age 17, he entered Princeton, the alma mater of both his grandfather and his brother, as a member of the class of 1940. He excelled in his coursework, winning the Pine Honor Prize, the highest general distinction conferred upon undergraduates. Robert was an accomplished soccer player at Princeton and became a lifelong fan of Princeton athletics and an avid fisherman and gardener. His graduate work was interrupted by his induction into the Army in the build-up to World War II. He served in the intelligence section of the 1st Cavalry Division for more than 4 years, attaining the rank of lieutenant colonel. Robert re-enrolled in 1945 and combined his graduate studies with work as a part-time preceptor and tutor. He earned his MA in 1947 and his PhD in 1948, both in classics. He continued teaching classics at Princeton and was named an assistant professor in 1950. From 1953 to 1956, he was the director of the National Woodrow Wilson Fellowship Program. In 1956, he was selected to become Princeton's 16th president, and when he assumed office in July 1957, he was the third youngest president in the university's history. He was in his 30s. Robert was a man of enormous courage and integrity, and is remembered as the architect of the Princeton that we know today. He said that he was most proud of his efforts to diversify the campus. Princeton first opened its doors to women as graduate students in 1961 and as regular members of the undergraduate student body in 1969. Under his leadership, he also helped implement measures to attract a more racially and ethnically diverse group of students and faculty. He was also known for his efforts to incorporate more faculty and student voices into university governance. Robert is survived by his wife of 66 years, Margaret, 6 children, 18 grandchildren, and 6 great-grandchildren.
Thank you. Mr. Reyes.
Thank you, Council President. I'd like to adjourn the memory of Melvin Goldman, father of Maury Goldman, daughter-in-law Bonnie, and grandchildren Josh and Melissa. He was 74, born in Brooklyn before coming to Los Angeles, Boyle Heights. His passion was the outdoors and spent his career working for the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power as a gardener caretaker before retiring in 1995. A few years later, he had a stroke, was confined to a wheelchair, but still enjoyed outdoors and traveling throughout the United States with his companion for 28 years, Madeline. In February, Mr. Goldman developed a lung infection from which he never recovered. He passed away early March. May he rest in peace. I also wanted to, in light of this morning's dialogue, adjourn the memory of Jose Gutierrez from Guatemala. He was an undocumented, some call illegal alien, but he died for this country. He was the first one to die over in Iraq and was given his citizenship posthumously. It just shows that this country is made up of many great human beings, regardless of how you label them.
Thank you very much, Mr. Reyes. Any other adjourning motions today, colleagues? If not, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll. Thank you. This meeting of the Los Angeles City Council is adjourned, and we will next be in session tomorrow, April 9th, 2008, here in the John Ferraro Council.